Welcome to this episode of Toysbackzen. Today, as you can see on the table, I have a bunch of robots, combiner robots. This is not a review video. This is not a haul or opening video. Today I'm going to see if these Voltron and combiner style bots have lead in them. Voltron was a staple of my morning cartoon watching, as well as Hercules, Bullwinkle Show, and who can forget Astro Boy. I'm pretty sure Voltron was on after school as well too, because I remember watching it. I have not gone out and searched for any of these toys. They just kind of fell in my possession through lots I've bought, and I'm glad I have them in my collection. None of these are complete, but look great on the shelf. I'm actively looking for the red lion for this larger Voltron. This Super Combination 17-in-1 robot I found at a flea market for $20, and I couldn't say no. This was made in 1985 in Taiwan. From the research I found, this is supposed to have lead in the paint or diecast, and I'm here to test it. Look at this thing. It's an amazing mashup of both Voltron robots and other toys from that timeline. I'm going to also test this Lion Voltron III. I bought this from a guy at a toy show, and he said it was a knockoff of the Matchbox Voltron and had lead in it too. I loved it, and for $80 I had to have it. There's no markings on it that I can see, or if anyone knows if this is the real Matchbox Voltron, or if there's a way to identify which one it is, that would be helpful. I will be testing this too to see if the seller was correct, and I'll be testing the accessories also. Next, I'm going to test this, I think, Panache Place Voltron 3. Identifying these are difficult, and I did find a marking on it that says 1984 World Events Production, which is also known as WEP, which was the American company that made the cartoons in the 80s. I'm not sure if this is different than Panache Place or if it's a similar looking toy. I'm sure this has no lead in it, but I'm going to check it anyways. Next, I have this 90's Power Rangers robot, which will be my control in this group. This I received in a toy lot I bought. You can see that in my largest toy lot video, and it's really heavy with diecast in it. I got these lead test swabs. You can put them in water and rub the area for 30 seconds. If the color changes from orange to blood red or anywhere in between, the paint or the diecast has lead in it. Darker the red, the more concentrated the lead is. Okay, so let's start with the WEP Voltron 3. So you just have to rub it onto the paint or diecast or plastic, whatever you're rubbing it on, for 30 seconds, and then you look at the swab and you test it with the outside color of the jar that they come in. You can clearly see here the swab has not changed color. It's still that same orange that it was when I pulled it out. So this toy just had plastic anyway, hardly any paint apps, just plastic, and I think the chrome was painted. That's why I did the chrome. So nothing in that one. Let's try this Power Rangers robot. Now this has a lot of diecast in it, so I'm going to try testing the diecast. The rest of it is just molded plastic. So I'm going to do the diecast and see what we find. This toy was made in the 90s, so I'm assuming we're probably okay. But this is also my test in the group of figures. Now I'm watching the swab as I'm doing this, and nothing is really changing. I don't see any color change, but we will look at the jar here with the colored band on the top. No change to that swab whatsoever. I find the swab is a little bit of darker orange than the color on the jar, so it's too bad they didn't have better color matching. But next we're going to do this other Voltron here. It's similar to the Matchbox. Doesn't have any markings on it. And the gentleman that I bought this from, like I said before, he said that it had lead in it. I don't know how he knew. He was probably just told from whoever he bought it from, or from the research maybe that he had done. So I'm going to test the chrome that's on this sword first and see what kind of color change we get, if we get any. Also, I have to be aware that perhaps the people that own this before me got these accessories separate from the lions. But it looks like there's a little bit of a change in that swab. Not really dark. Like, it's not blood red, which it says in the instructions if it's blood red. It's just a little like more of a pink than orange. So there's a possibility that these do have lead in them. I'm going to use the other side of this swab on this yellow lion. Just do it on the chrome here. Not much of a change there at all. So I'm going to do it again on the yellow paint. Now this lion is die-cast. The black lion has a little die-cast in it too. And the red and green lion are mostly plastic. But the body of this yellow and blue lion, they are completely die-cast. They're really, really heavy. Not much of a difference, not much of a change. It changed mostly on the sword. So I know that some toys can have a different concentration of lead in the paint or in the metal. And I'd have to say that this Voltron perhaps does have maybe some lead in parts of it, but I'm just using a clean Q-tip and just wiping off any of the water that I used from the other swab. And, you know, I didn't see any color change on a clean Q-tip. So I'd have to say there's probably not any lead in that Voltron. So I'm using a brand new swab on this one. And this is the one that I've done research on, and in the research it said it has lead in it. So, and right away my Q-tip has turned a blood red. And I'm testing this on a piece of the die cast near its head. and you can see that that's got the highest concentration of lead that you can get. So this is clearly the 17-in-1 robot, clearly has lead in it. So if you have this in your collection, you're going to want to make sure that you be careful when you're handling this robot, and make sure that you either wear gloves, or when you're done handling it, you wash your hands before you eat, or play with your kids or anything like that. So I'm going to test this here on the top, and this turned red right away also, just as fast as the other piece. So anything that's die-cast on this robot has got lead in it, and I wouldn't put it past the parts that are painted perhaps have lead in them too. Most of this figure is, some of this figure is die-cast, some of it is plastic parts, but yeah, the die-cast in this is definitely lead-based. I also like the simplicity of these swabs, this lead testing swab kit. I wish the color code was a little bit more obvious, but it obviously does work when you have a lot of lead. So we've got these Voltron figures. They're great. I'm happy about that. And we know now that the 17-in-1 robot is definitely not good for your kids to play with, and not good for you to eat after handling it. Thanks for watching this episode of Toysbackzen. I appreciate all my subs that have been with me the whole time. So thank you to everybody that's supporting me. Please leave a like. It really helps the channel a lot. Please comment down below and let me know what you think. And do you own any of these robots? See ya.